Okay, she be gone every single night. Day and night on my mind, pushing a cute vibe.
How's it going, everybody? This is Top Dropper. Hope you're having another great day, and welcome back to another video. Alright, so it's time for another edition of Bad Game Reviews. In this series, I review all the video games that I have in my collection, either PS1 all the way through PlayStation 4, that I find to be just extremely bad. And today's unfortunate victim, it is Hooters Road Trip. This is actually one of the newer games that I have in my collection, and I say that because this was in my very last Haul and Games video that I did back in March. First off, this game was developed by a company called Hotline Research and was published by Ubisoft, a video game giant today, all the way back in March of 2002. And this is very interesting because unlike most other video games, this one is actually sponsored by the restaurant chain Hooters themselves. So they played a very big role in the production of this game. The objective is that there are 6 road trips, and each one of them are mainly in the south. You have to drive to various locations on the southern map and beat your fellow competitors there, so that way you can be able to gain as many points as possible, so that way if you win your road trips you can unlock cars as well as new locations and ultimately new road trips as well. One of the things that I do like about this game is the cool soundtrack that you have. In fact, it aligns pretty well with most of the locations that there are, particularly with the ones in Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Santa Monica, and a whole lot of other locations as well. So really the soundtrack there is actually pretty good, but otherwise that's really the only thing that stands out in my mind when it comes to this game, when it comes to the positives of it. Like I said before, this game was released in 2002, and this was around the time the PlayStation 1 was pretty much obsolete at the time, and unfortunately this game was no different compared to the Italian Job and All-Star Racing, which I reviewed earlier this year. This game was bad, and one of the main reasons why is its innovation. There's really nothing that stands out as a true positive in this game. In fact, there are a lot of reasons why this game is pretty bad, in particular when it comes to innovation. Number one, it's just extremely repetitive. You're really racing at the same places over and over again through each of these road trips. You know, obviously all the time, you're really starting at Fort Lauderdale in every single one of those road trips, and at most of the places, you're pretty much getting to at least more than one time. And so really the road trips that you go on in general are just really completely repetitive, and it feels like it's just never going to stop. Not only that, the rewards itself is just not really satisfying in particular. As soon as you complete a road trip, the only thing you really get out of it is just a car or something like that. And not only that, unfortunately, you can't even race the cars that you unlock themselves. You have to complete timed license events on another mode, just so that way you can be able to unlock your cars, so that way you can use them in your road trips. In fact, a lot of the cars that you unlock in particular, they're really questionable in my opinion. Yeah, you have the roadsters and all of that stuff, but there's also a pickup truck, a big rig, heck, you even have a Jeep and school bus in there. I mean, I don't really understand a lot of the choices that this company made when it comes to adding some of the cars there in this game, but I mean, there are a lot of things in this game that baffles me in particular. And like I said before, there's really just no other rewards that make you satisfied to complete the game other than the cars. Like, all you get at the end of each road trip is just a simple postcard, and there's really just no true end credit screen and stuff like that. So the innovation in this game is just completely lacking. I would have thought that Ubisoft and Hotline Research would have been able to do a lot better than that, but unfortunately this was a game where they completely dropped the ball on that. I mean, the soundtrack is alright, but after that, everything else, you know, it's just not very good. The graphics in this game are just terrible, like I said with all the other free games, but the same thing can be said in this one. Now, they are a little bit better than All-Star Racing and the Italian Job, but still, that doesn't give the sense that since this was released in 2002, PS1 games at the time were really lacking in quality, and this one unfortunately was no different. I know they took a little bit of time so that way they can be able to make this game, but at the same time though, it just doesn't feel like this game was made right. When you look at it, it looks rather ugly in particular, and also pixelized actually. In fact, the way it looks, it almost looks like you're playing an Atari arcade game than you are playing an actual PlayStation 1 game. Whenever you're making graphics for a PlayStation 1 game, they have to align with the actual console itself, so that way the game stands out and makes it a lot more enjoyable. Unfortunately, this one feels like it's more of an arcade game that I'm playing than I am just an Atari game. Maybe it is an arcade game, just the way it plays, but it really shouldn't be like that when you're playing a PlayStation 1 game. So despite the fact that these graphics are a little bit better, I will give them a little bit credit for it, it still doesn't get the whole feeling that this is a really good game. Man, what about the controls though? The controls in this game are just absolutely awful. I mean, you're really out of control all the time, no matter where you are, whether the back or the front. It's really like whenever you're pressing the controls and all that stuff, like the left or right, it really just feels like that. No matter how hard you turn or even soft, the car literally just ends up getting completely sideways every single time when you're in the middle of the corner. In racing games, you have to have the perfect handling. So like some cars can be tight while other cars can be loose. However, here in this game, literally every single car that you play in this game is just completely loose everywhere around. They should have added some sort of handling options. That way you can adjust the handling of your car. So that way you can be able to control them better while you're in the race. But unfortunately, that's not exactly what they did. They just said, sorry, deal with it. If you lose control of your car, it's on you. Not only that, the collision detection in this game is just absolutely terrible. It feels like that, you know, you could be meters away from a race car, and yet for some reason, you're just still end up running right into them. And not only that, your car just completely stops. It doesn't just, you know, okay, maybe just a slight 180 and then just keep on going. It just completely stops, like just a complete standstill. Really, like you're gonna stop me right in my tracks just after hitting a car like that, even if it's not oncoming traffic? Come on, that's just unfair to the drivers that are competing in this game. In other racing games, whenever you end up hitting oncoming traffic, you still go forward a little bit, maybe flip in the air or something like that, but here, it just completely stops, and it feels like that the time-space continuum just completely froze altogether, and that's just not right here. The controls of this game have to be better, and unfortunately, they failed that test here in this game. The audio in this game is also pretty bad, unfortunately. It feels like that, you know, there's sort of like some sort of screeching sound whenever you're on the road as well, whether it's on the pavement or on the dirt, because whenever you're sliding around, it feels like that it's almost like a record disc scratch that you're hearing in the background, and unfortunately, it gives the feeling that your eardrums are being rattled. Like I said before, whenever you hit a car, it just completely stops. Like it feels like a beep, and unfortunately, it just stops right there, and that's not exactly right. Like I said, the soundtrack in the background, I'm fine with it. I mean, I like the cool, you know, funk rock or the surf rock that you hear in the background and all that stuff. So I will give them some credit on the soundtrack, but the audio when it comes to the cars, literally the only thing you hear whenever you're on the track is literally your own car. You don't even hear all the other cars around you, even if you're at close speed, and really, you don't hear any oncoming traffic as well. It's just literally your car. You need to have that true feeling that you're literally there at the actual course, and unfortunately, this game does not present that. And look, I know I'm going to be objective here. I hate that I have to say this because I know there are a lot of people that really enjoy this that are probably going to be upset with me when I say this, but the cutscenes. Guys, what are you doing? I know Hooters is licensing this game, and that's really should be a main importance of this game, but really, what is up with all the Hooters girls and every single cutscene that there is in this game? I mean, do we really have to present them at every single cutscene after you complete a particular event? I mean, I know that guys love the Hooters girls just for all their attractiveness and all that stuff, but there's really just no need to needlessly sexualize every cutscene in this game. I mean, really just take it to the next event, and then at the end of the road trip, then you can show off the girls. You don't have to present them at literally every single cutscene. I mean, there are a few in particular where literally it's just a bunch of girls just wearing swimsuits and all of that stuff. I mean, really, I just don't understand why they have to feel that they need to needlessly sexualize all the cutscenes and all that stuff. It really makes me feel like that I want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings more than Hooters. So, I mean, come on, you could have just toned it down a little bit on that. But at the same time, it's Hooters. They're known for the waitresses, so you just sort of had a feeling they were going to do something like this. I just did not think that they were going to take this like that. So I don't know why they would think that they had to have a Hooters girl in every single cutscene. But that's their decision. I really don't care less. But however, I do feel like that they should have toned it down on that just a little bit. But yeah, otherwise, just like All-Star Racing, this is just a pretty bad racing game. There's really no feeling that you are literally competing in an actual event. It's just like you complete one stage, complete the next stage, and literally just that's it. The game is over. I just feel like that there's just no true satisfying feeling of completing this game whatsoever. The control should be a whole lot better along with the audio and really just all that stuff. It just makes for a very bad game. Now, they took a little bit more time to develop on this game unlike the previous two games, so it doesn't look like it was made at the last minute, but still, whenever you're developing a late PlayStation 1 game, it needs to be a whole lot better than one that Ubisoft and Hotline Research developed right here. I mean, I only went to Hooters once in my entire life, at least based on my memory, and that was back when I was 10 years old. Yes, I know, I was that young at the time when I went to a restaurant with a whole bunch of Hooters girls and all that stuff. But really, I still prefer the Buffalo Wild Wings and Wingstop now. And maybe when I'm a little bit older, maybe I can go to a Hooters restaurant again. But, you know, it's a pretty decent attempt by Hooters to try to license a game. But at the same time, you know, it still has to be better. And unfortunately, that is exactly what did not happen here in this game. And unfortunately, Ubisoft and Hotline gave it their best shot. Hooters did all they can to promote it, but unfortunately, it just was not a good game. And so unfortunately, Hooters Road Trip ends up being yet another bad game in my collection. So that's going to do it for this review. I know I got a whole bunch of other games, like I said, that I want to review in this collection, particularly ones that I've also had in my Haul and Games collections videos as well. So if you guys like to see another review, whether it's a bad game or a good game or something like that, please let me know down in the comments below. I'll take a look at what I have in my collection. I'll do a review on it in my next game review video. Anyways, that's going to do it for another video. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when my latest video is released. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so every new subscriber helps. As always, be sure to comment below for future suggestions for all my videos, whether it's vlogs, projects, or challenges, or video game content, you name it. Leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to make them. As always, follow me in my social media. All the links are in the description below. That's going to do it for another video. Hope you're all having another great day. And as always, I hope to see all of you again in another video very soon. And hopefully, if you are a video gamer, you don't play this game. So long, everybody.